Okay. Good evening, welcome, thanks for coming. I need some help with this. Do I have a volunteer? Preferably a small volunteer. Any volunteers? It could be royal volunteers. That would work. No? Okay, thank you. Wow, I get to work with royalty. That's cool. Now, here's what I need from you, sweetie. Can you count to 5? Okay. Okay, so we're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 when I tell you, okay? Good deal. Thank you. Now, I have one blood grandchild. I have a lot of adopted ones, but only one blood one. It is my misfortune that my one blood grandchild lives in Illinois. That's a long way away. She's 6 years old now. Last time I saw her, she was 4. This COVID thing really sucks, I tell you. Well, we've developed a way of keeping in touch. And I'm just going to say right now, thank you, Mr. Bezos. I love Alexa because we get on Alexa. Her mama got her one of those little Echo devices, and they got me one of the Echo devices, and we have conversations on the Echo device. And it's very cool. She tells me stories, I tell her stories. She tells me what's going on in school. She tells me what she did that day. She tells tales on her parents, all the wonderful things that she'd do in person if we were close enough. But one thing that we do that is just so much fun that I'd have never dreamed it is we play hide and go seek. Now, hide and go seek on an electronic device is not easy, but it can be done, as she has proven. Now, the good news is I know the layout of their house. She doesn't know the layout of my house, so it gets real interesting sometimes. When she wants to play hide and go seek, she'll tell me, okay, Grandma, you count to 1,000. Okay, I'll count to 1,000. And I start counting. 1, 2, 3, and off she goes, off camera. And all of a sudden I'll hear her giggle and say, okay, Grandma, you can stop counting now. Say ready or not. Okay, ready or not, here I come. And here I come, looking for my grandbaby. So first thing is, I have to figure out what floor she's on, because they've got a second floor, and they've got a main floor, and they've got a basement. So it's like, is she in the basement? I bet she went down to the basement. So then we have to go down the basement stairs. Are you down in the basement? And she giggles. No, she's not in the basement, Grandma. Okay, so then we have to go back upstairs. First thing you know, I look around. Are you in the living room? No, I'm not in the living room. She's got the cutest giggle. Not that I'm partial. Not that, I am not biased in any way, shape, or form. So then it's like, well, maybe she went out on the patio. Let me go check on the patio. Off we go. Are you on the patio? No, Grandma, I'm not on the patio. Okay, come back in. I wonder, is she in the kitchen? Let me go check the kitchen. Oh, you're good at this. And we go in the kitchen. Are you there? No, Grandma, I'm not in the kitchen. And this will go on through every room in the house, and the pantry, and the laundry room, and the garage, and the playroom, and every room. Upstairs to the bedrooms, back down into the bathroom in the basement. You name it. We go crawling around, playing hide and go seek. Then finally she'll go, okay, Grandma, here I am. And she'll jump out. Where were you hiding? Oh, I was hiding under the TV. It's a flat screen TV. How was she hiding under the TV? Childhood imagination is a wonderful thing. And that's where she imagined she was hiding. Then it's my turn. Okay, Grandma, you go hide and I'll count. Now, hiding consists of out of the screen. And then off she goes, counting. Ready or not, here I come. Okay, here she comes. Now remember, she doesn't know the layout of the house. It's a one-story house. It doesn't have a basement. It doesn't have an upstairs. It's just a one-story house. She goes upstairs, she goes downstairs, all those wonderful ups and downs and everything in the basement and out on the patio that we don't have and up on the deck that we don't have, all the other goodies that she has in her house, so everybody must have them, right? And she chases all over. And finally, you know, are you here? Are you there? Are you there? No, I'm not there. I'm not there. I'm not there. And then finally, she'll say, I give up, Grandma. Where are you? And then I can step back in and I can say, here I am. Where were you hiding, Grandma? Oh, I was hiding under the bed. Grandma, you can't fit under the bed. Gee, thanks a lot. Kids will be kids, right? Now, the best part of conversations with her is I never know where they're going to go. And one of them is her knock-knock jokes. Ready? Okay. Knock-knock.
Who's there?
Cedra.
Cedra who?
Cedra, if I can get in the house. What? So, of course, being Grandma, I have to come up with a good one, right? A real one. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Orange.
Orange who?
Orange, you're glad I didn't say banana? Grandma, you were supposed to say banana first. Oh, well, I said it was logical. I didn't say it was right. Then we get into Grandma's telling a knock knock. She's going to tell it back. So, knock knock.
Who's there?
Lemmy.
Lemmy who?
Let me in the door so I can see my grandma. How can you argue with something like that? That's the beauty of playing long distance with a 6-year-old. And it never gets old and it never gets tiring. And I could play with her all day long. In fact, I cheerfully would if she didn't have to go to school and I didn't have to go to work. Oh well, life intervenes. But thank you for sharing my adventures with my 6-year-old. And thank you so much for your excellent help, Your Highness.
Slide.
Well now, I may look like I'm kind of old now. I've been around a while, but I wasn't always. Once upon a time, I was a child. Very much like you, except I was a girl. And when I was growing up, there was someone who came to our village. We didn't have a whole lot in our village. But this man came to our village, and he asked for something to eat. Now, the bad news was we didn't have a whole lot to eat. None of us had much of anything. I think the word was poor. Might have heard that word before. But we didn't care because we were pretty happy. Except we were poor. But he came along and he said, you know, I am so hungry. I wonder if any of you have something that you would be willing to feed me. Well, we don't have enough for ourselves. How can we feed you? Well, I have a secret. I have with me some magic gravel. And this gravel came from the gravel Gumbo bayou. And it makes the best gumbo in the world. If you'll just help me, we can all have a big bowl of gumbo. Well, my mama wasn't anybody's fool. I bet he doesn't know a thing about what he's talking about. He said, no, I promise you, I promise you, if you will just help me, we'll have the best gumbo ever. Well, okay. What do you have in mind? He said, well, first, I need a great big pot. Does anybody have a great big pot? Like you might cook syrup in? Or maybe like you might do your laundry in? Something really big? Well, one of the men folks said, yes, I've got a big old pot, I'll bring it. And he went and he got his horse and they hauled that cauldron down right to the middle of town, put it right there in the middle of the town square. Pretty cool. I'd never seen a cauldron in the middle of the town square before. That thing was taller than me. It was pretty big. There it was, a cauldron. Okay, mister, there's your pot. What are you going to do now? Well, he looked around and he said, well, you know, the thing with the gumbo, first, and I bet you all know this, first you make a roux. Got to start with a roux. Now, a roux is nothing more than some flour and some fat cooked together. So first you make a roux. And sure enough, he turned around and he said, now does someone have some flour that they would be willing to contribute? Mama kind of went, this sounds like a shady deal to me. He's asking for stuff. Okay, here we go. Gotta find some flour. So he went from person to person there in the square. Do you have some flour you'd be willing to contribute? Finally, he found somebody who had some flour. And somebody else was willing to give some bacon fat, good old bacon fat. Can't beat bacon fat when it comes to making a roux. And he got there, and he got a great big old paddle somebody had from their boat. And he stirred and he stirred and he stirred. I think we maybe should make a fire under the pot. It would help. So he sent some of us kids to go find sticks to make a fire. So we did. We gathered up sticks from all over and we built a fire under that kettle. Okay, stir and stir and stir and stir and stir. Great. Now we need to add water. And we need to add a little bit of chopped onion. Anybody got an onion they'd be willing to give? Well, one of the folks said they had an onion. They brought an onion. And the next thing you know, somebody else had some peppers, good old bell peppers all chopped up. And a little bit of garlic, because you got to have a little bit of garlic in it too. And somebody else had some celery. Woo, celery. Chop that stuff up and throw it in. And there you go. And he stirred it and he stirred it and he stirred it. And everybody's looking at him going, yeah, well, it doesn't look like much yet. Where's your magic gravel? And he pulled a pouch out of his pocket. And he opened that pouch and dumped out some magic gravel from Gumbo Bayou. And he put it in the pot and he stirred it and he stirred it and he stirred it. He said, well, that's looking pretty good, but you know what would really be good? If we had some chopped up chicken in there. Maybe a little bit of okra. Anybody got some okra? Anybody got some chicken? And one by one, various people in the town would bring in pieces to put in the gumbo. One brought a big bowl full of chopped up chicken and threw it in. And he stirred it some more. And another one brought some okra and they threw it in and they stirred it some more. And some salt and some pepper. And oh my goodness, somebody brought some chopped up tomatoes and somebody brought some chopped up sausage. And the first thing you know, that was smelling pretty good. I guess that magic gravel really did help because it was smelling mighty yummy. And the first thing you know, we got this big, big pot all stirred up, all ready to go. He says, now, if we just had some rice, we could serve this over some rice and it would be so good. One of the wives, it was the mayor's wife actually, because she was a smart lady and she was always prepared. she came out with a big old pan full of rice. And then he looked around, he says, all right, now everybody run home. Get something to eat your gumbo in. Bring back a bowl, bring back a spoon. We're gonna have gumbo. And they ran out and they got their cups and their bowls and their spoons and their forks, and they came up. And the mayor, because he wasn't gonna be outdone by his wife, the mayor came up with a big old basket of French bread, all sliced up and some butter on the side. Oh, this was getting better and better. And we all got our bowls. We got them filled with rice and gumbo. And oh, it was so yummy. That was the best gumbo I believe I've ever eaten. All the things that everybody put in it, all the different flavors. I don't think anybody in the village made gumbo that good before, because they all just did their own thing, and this was everybody's thing. Oh my goodness, it was wonderful. And then he got ready to leave. You can't leave. You can't go. You've got to stay here, please. We need you here. And he's, no, you don't need me here. But we need your gravel. We need that magic gravel to make the wonderful gumbo. And he took a spoon and he went down to the very bottom of that big old pot and he brought out his pieces of gravel. And he looked at him and he said, if I leave this with you, I can't help the next town. I have to take my gravel with me. But I have a secret for you. You don't need the gravel to make gravel gumbo. What you need is a spirit of sharing and of working together and of being cooperative. And you found that. Now you have it. So you have the secret of gravel gumbo. You don't need gravel to get it. Well, now, you know, we're talking about cats and we're talking about Louisiana. I'm originally from New Orleans. I know you don't believe it, but darling, if I give it half a chance, the ninth ward will come back out. My daddy worked for the Jackson Brewing Company. He was a warehouse foreman. Now, that doesn't mean a whole lot unless you like trucks. And I love trucks, because I'd get to visit with all the truck drivers when they'd come. One of the things that happens around the docks, the truck docks, is animals show up. Sometimes they show up riding along with the trucker. Sometimes they just kind of wander up from the river and you never know where they came from, but they're there. Now my daddy was a staunch dog man. He was dogs all the way around. Big dogs, little dogs, that was okay, as long as it was a dog. Had to be a canine. He had that definitely spelled out. Well, one day he came home with this little white with spots, I should say, white with gray spots. Cat. Daddy, that's not a dog. See, you can tell it's got a roundish face, not a muzzle, and it purrs, it doesn't bark. That's not a dog. He said, I know, but look how scrawny it is. Look how pitiful it is. This poor thing's been hanging around the docks for a week. I've been feeding it scraps, but it's starving. And it's so sweet. It just winds up around my legs and just, oh, it purrs, and it's just such a good little creature. I couldn't leave it there anymore. I was afraid it was going to get run over, because they'd run out there in the road, and you know Decatur Street's a busy street. Okay. Daddy, you brought a cat home. What are you going to do with this cat? Well, I'm going to feed it. And then I'm going to find it a home, and it's going to be fine. I mean, after all, I wouldn't have brought it home if it were pregnant. You know what 3 good meals does to a stray cat? It makes them instantly a week away from delivery. Instantly. And the first thing you do, this little pitiful, bony white cat with gray spots with this beautiful, plump, elegant white cat with 3 kittens. Rebecca, I blame it on you, except I had not yet met you at the time, because I know 3 is your magic number. But 3 kittens. So here's my daddy, the dog man, which, by the way, we had dogs at the time, which the cat instantly cowed. That, you know, this little cat, big dog. Belgian Shepherds are not impressed with cats. Cats are even less impressed with Belgian Shepherds. Whop! Dog instantly in line. My daddy took this little cat and her 3 little kittens, and he found homes for those kittens when they came of age. He took that cat down to the vet and had it taken care of so that we would not have that problem again. I have later heard that situation referred to as cats falling apart. She would not fall apart anymore. She was all put together. That little old cat ruled the household for 10 solid years. We never knew how old she was when he found her, but she was 10 years old when she went to her heavenly reward. Over those years, she helped raise my son. She kept the dogs in line, and we never, ever, ever had any critters that shouldn't be there. Unless you count the little white cat with gray stripes that the dog man brought home. Okay. Well, you know, there are a lot of strange things that happen in the world. Things that no one can explain. And sometimes those things that no one can explain are the most spectacular, precious things of all. And that's the way it was for a young minister. He had just taken his first job out of seminary, and this man was a little bit nervous about doing it all right. He wanted to have everything just perfect. And one day, the oldest lady in the congregation calls to make an appointment with him. Okay, what did he do wrong? Because everybody knows she pretty much runs the church, because she's been around so long. She knows everybody, she knows everything, she knows where everything is, including where all the bodies are buried. But she wants an appointment with him. Now he's a little bit nervous, kind of like getting called to the principal's office. He makes an appointment and she comes in. When she does, she sits down in front of his desk, just as prim and proper as you please. She's got her white shoes and her white gloves and her white hat. And she's all dressed in her Sunday meeting best, even though it's not Sunday. Oh my, he's really in trouble now. She's put on all of her armor, because that's like her uniform. Okay, Lord, what did I do wrong? Help me out here. And then she starts talking. Minister, I've been so impressed since you came to our church. You're doing a fine, fine job. And I just wanted to ask a favor of you. Oh, maybe it wasn't so scary after all. Maybe it was going to be okay. Minister, I'm the only one left of my family. Everyone's gone on. I have no one left to count on. So I'm going to have to count on you if you don't mind. Okay? What do you need to count on me for? I'll do whatever I can. Well, I want you to take notes about how I want my funeral, because there's nobody left to ask to set it out. Oh, that's kind of an odd request, but okay. So she goes down the list. She pulls it out of her purse. She's got it all written out, the Bible verses that she wants read. She says, now I want you to make sure and remind them that this world is not the end, that we're going through the other side. And my Father's house there are many mansions, and I've gone on to those mansions. Yes, ma'am, I can do that. Now, I want you to remember to tell them all that Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life, so that they'll all know. That's the way they come. Yes, ma'am, I can do that. And she starts with the music. Now, you know, I've always been very partial to Footsteps of Jesus. I would like for you to sing Footsteps of Jesus at my funeral. And you can't forget In the Garden, because that's where I'm going. I'm going to the garden. I'm going to be with Jesus in the garden. Yes, ma'am, we can do that. Not a problem. We've got this. He's making notes, writing all his notes of everything she's asking him to do. And then she comes to the very end. She says, and one more thing. After you preach a wonderful sermon about how I've gone home and they can all join me, I want you to do one more thing for me. She reached in her purse and she pulled out a fork. She says, I want you to make sure that they bury me with this fork. I want you to make sure it's in my hands. In that casket, I want you to make sure of that. Well, ma'am, I'm sorry, that's just the strangest request I've ever had for a funeral. You know, not that I've done a whole lot of them, but when they took us through training, and, you know, when I interned and everything, I've never had anybody want a fork in their hands for a funeral. Wouldn't you rather have your Bible or maybe a flower? No, no, no. No, young man, I want. Okay, if that's what you want. She says, now, here's what I want you to tell people about that fork. I want you to tell them, when you go to a fancy dinner, when you sit down at that table, and you're served the wonderful food, and then they come and they pick up all the plates, what do they tell you? Keep your fork, because dessert's coming. The best is yet to come. And I want you to tell them all at my funeral, I've got my fork, and I'm ready, because I know the best is yet to come. And I look forward to seeing them all there, gathered around the dessert table.